second Inno-Luxury Summit was held with the purpose of bringing together industry experts from all over the world. Its main focus was to discuss how luxury brands could combine their long-time heritage with the required innovations to succeed in the competitive Chinese market. To further understand what is at stake and which best practices to learn from, Luxury Must has interviewed 3 renowned experts among the guest speakers. Let's hear Pablo Moran, China's GM from the Digital Luxury Group, a Geneva-based organization exclusively aiming at creating and implementing emotional and highly engaging digital experiences for luxury brands.
To answer the key questions they have and that are not in line with the key questions people have in the Western markets, for example. We saw, for example, that the perception of the brand is maybe not the same. The level of awareness in regards to some specific industries, such as watchmaking or such as fashion, is not at the same level. The knowledge about the brand is not at the same level. Chinese consumers matter a lot about brand history, DNA, and values and traditions. So I think that what they expect actually is just to find the right answers and to have brands that are speaking to them in an appropriate way. As a matter of fact, all the brand headquarters have been looking to have a very consistent image all across the world, and it sounds logical. But China is so different that there is a real need to adapt the way you interact with your consumers online. It could be in terms of design, it could be in terms of speech, it could be in terms of values. And I think that for the moment, Chinese consumers don't really feel considered by brands at an international level. And they really expect to have a dedicated way of communicating about the brand. We talk a lot about communication and images, but when it comes to China, there are a lot of specificities also at a technical level. For example, all the international sites that we see right now online are not suitable for the Chinese market. So if brands are able to address all these issues at a technical level, also at more subjective levels, such as design and messages, once again, it will have a massive impact on the consumer's purchase intention. The other thing is that since e-commerce took a lot of time to grow in the luxury goods industry, and now in the Western market it sounds more mature, when it comes to China, e-commerce is still at its beginning. So until the point where all the brands will be able to sell online, and maybe it will be never the case because some brands just don't think that it's the right way to sell the products, and most of the time they're right to think that. Until that point, it's really important to make sure that the website helps the brands to drive concrete traffic to the stores. So on the purchase intention, I think the impact will be at 2 levels. Obviously, there will be the development of the e-commerce approach, but before that, there will be the ability of the brand to drive in-store traffic in a very concrete way, and not only to focus about image and communication. The next step will be the integration, not only of the mobile platform, but of the whole digital into every aspect of the brand communication. I mean, we saw the example of Burberry having tablets in their shops in Beijing, for example, and I think that it really shows the way of what should be the next objectives for luxury brands. I mean, at the end, to not consider digital as a silo, but to really integrate it at every step of their communication, of their marketing processes, and so on. At the end, the idea is just to leverage on digital to bring some customer value, added value for customers, and to increase the efficiency of the brand and increase its ability to develop itself in a key market such as China.
From entry barriers to customer behavior, Lawrence Lee, General Secretary of the Chinese Luxury Industry Association and co-organizer of the summit, shares key sectorial information. Watch and learn.
For CLEAR in 2012, we will focus on a lot of the industry events. The first one is about our 7th China luxury industry event in Beijing, and we will guarantee for 500 and 800 persons to come. For CLEAR, I think it's the only non-profit organization in China can guarantee all the top overseas brands to make attentions for China market. At the same time, for the local brands, for Chinese elements, they will also come to join this event. So that will be like the grand event, combine the conference and exhibitions together. Also, we will deliver some industry luxury reports simultaneously. So this is one big event there in our schedule. I think for China Luxury Industry Association, it's associations aims for serving the China brands upgrading to integrate to the overseas market. That's our we said theme and our focus for this year. And beside that, we will also have a lot of the salons, seminars, and business trips to introduce domestic and international brands for cooperating and co-growth.
关税的问题呢？ 我们已经谈了1年了，落实到中国呢，其实关税它不单
Actually,
是
these are great questions. All the persons have some attentions on that, especially for the overseas market. So I think the taxations for luxury only the part of the taxation reform in China. That's not the focus, but the category. So that's the problem. Will be we will discuss from the China tax system. That's the key issue for the consumer goods, because in China we not only charge regular tax fees, we also charge some consumer fees and charge some value-added taxations. So all these elements will contribute for the growth for the taxations, especially for consumer goods. So from Larry's point of view, he think in the long run the trend will be have some changes, because the luxury goods will be classified and categorized in different sectors. So in his view, he thinks some like the light luxury goods like glasses or the perfumes and the bags, they will become necessities for the Chinese consumers. I think for this trend, the taxations will be lower than nowadays. But for some heavy luxuries like airplanes, boats, and cars, in view of the global like the situation and the trade wars between the different countries, I think these taxations will not be lower and probably will see some growth for these kind of categories of luxury goods. But I think from Larry's view, for the overseas brands, this situation is quite interesting and good for the overseas brands. Why? Because the Chinese consumers have the awareness for the luxury experience, to know the blood of the brands, to know the original flavor for these brands. So they're willing to go outside for the overseas side, Europe, to the real stores to experience the product, how the function is there. So this trend will also grow in. So and for the inner heart, they will be fulfilled if they go other countries to see the cultures and to see the creativity elements and to see the real luxury genes for that. So that's the point. I think whatever the stores will be growing in China, this part will be the advantage for these overseas brands, and the Chinese customers are willing to accept that.
我觉得可能不用太久，这个话题就不会谈得太多。
How to leverage on luxury brands' heritage whilst improving customer awareness? What are the niche market opportunities to be aware of? And what's there to understand to expand in China? KPMG's expert Anson Bailey tells us all about it.
I do believe there's a lot of opportunities for those luxury brands and certainly for the gifting side of their business, because in terms of culture as well, here in Asia, gifting is quite a common, normal thing to do, and certainly a lot of the corporates and the corporate mentality is to do that type of gifting. So without a doubt, there's a very big market here in Asia. Quite frankly, the penetration rates still relatively low. If you look at some of the other more developed markets, including that of Japan, here in Asia Pacific, if you compare Japan with China, for example, in terms of the number of high net worth individuals, let's say, you can see there's a great deal of room for expansion with regards to the number of luxury stores. The other interesting thing, of course, yes, here in China, a lot of the different reports recently that have looked at luxury in China have talked about how a large percentage of those sales are from overseas sales. And yes, I think that's likely to continue, but I think we should also realize that as the number of high net worth individuals, as the number of millionaires grow in China and the number of billionaires grow in China, there will continue to be, I think, a very significant demand for those luxury products. If you look at some of the research, people like CLSA have recently talked about how they believe that the Chinese consumers here in Greater China would potentially take up about 40 to 50% of the total luxury market by 2020. So, there is a real passion for luxury here in China. There is a big demand for luxury here in China, and I certainly believe that it will continue to grow unabated in the years ahead. And I think we're going to see, and we're going to continue to see, a lot more of those luxury brands coming into China. We'll see more of the niche brands coming into China. And also, don't forget, people up to now have really focused on the tier 1 cities. And I think what we are going to see in the years ahead is really a move to perhaps some of the smaller cities, the tier 2, the tier 3, the tier 4, and even beyond have been that they have moved up the, if you like, the value curve very quickly. They have learnt a great deal about the luxury brands. I believe that they've studied really very in depth about those luxury brands. So I think today the Chinese consumer, those high net worth individuals, they have done their homework, they've really researched the brands, and they're becoming not just the status seeking luxury consumers, but really more discerning connoisseurs, if you like, in terms of really understanding the brand, appreciating the craftsmanship, appreciating the heritage of the brand. And so today, I think those luxury consumers in China are, just as well educated as their Western counterparts, if not more, with regards to understanding those luxury brands. And I think moving forward in the years ahead, there'll be a greater number of discerning Chinese connoisseurs of luxury brands.
Digital and value-oriented, eager for a more genuine consumption and yet sensitive to details and traditions, these are today's Chinese luxury consumers. They expect excellent craftsmanship, both in-store and online VIP treatment, as well as an engaging 360-degree luxury lifestyle experience.